Is this your foot?
Huh? No. Play footsie with me?
Yeah.
So, oh, damn it. This your foot, blood?
It's your foot? It's your big toe? It's my pinky toe.
Damn,
you got a big pinky toe.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another ghetto episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. Currently, I am doing this inside my home because my office is shut down due to the COVID situation and people be fucking tonguing each other all the time in there, you nasty little fucks.
Yeah, stop touching each other.
In the fucking ding-dongs. Anyways, we got a Khalif Boyd in the house.
Yo, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Hot minute.
Yeah,
dude.
man. I be doing my thing. Jump, man. What's up?
I'll tell you this right now. That's the most he's ever said. You know, when he was, I had this one come on Just Kidding News back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy was on like 12 episodes where he just sat there and didn't say anything. And I'm like, what in the fuck is going on?
Well, the fuck up thing was that it was my birthday. I was like, I ain't got shit to do. He's like, oh, roll with me to Just Kidding Films. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll roll up. Didn't know I was going to be on the episode. And y'all roasted me. No one said happy birthday. Shit was crazy. It was the worst birthday of my life.
Just Kidding News commenters are so fascinating. I didn't know about this until who the fuck? I think Jess mentioned this. She was telling me that there's like forums where people just talk mad shit.
Oh yeah, I told you, like on Reddit.
Oh, that's on Reddit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Jess and you told me that shit. And I went into it. I was like, damn, these people, they're either the biggest fans of us on earth because the moment we put something up, they're already talking about it.
Like live streaming that shit.
Yeah, they're just like, you know what? I can't believe David thinks he's so tough. He's so cool. And I'm like, I guess. I'm like, I guess.
All these theories and shit.
Yeah, David, he's so fucking self-absorbed. Like all he does is he just always thinks he's right now. He's a fucking therapist. I'm like, I guess. So I read it. I'm like cracking the fuck up because there's people out there that are sitting there waiting to type something about how much they either hate me, how much they hate Joe, how crazy Bart is, how Gio is this, how
right.
I was like, damn.
It's all these half-baked ideas because it's in that culture of like, I need to get in this first without even fully analyzing what they're even feeling or observing, like really let it percolate and just like try to understand it for themselves. I feel like they're just so lost in this culture to try to explain something that they have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing about it too that I noticed what they were doing is they were saying that I think for me, like these people that they hate me, they fucking hate me, and I just dying laughing because I forgot which comment that I read. But it was like something about, because, you know, Genius Brain, we do the genius suggestion thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, these two guys think they know fucking everything. And it just reminds me of, like, you know, when you see that scene in the movie where these girls are just talking shit in their bedroom.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
David thinks he's so fucking hot.
Yeah.
He's over here just giving people fucking life advice from his personal experience. What, you think you know everything?
You're
and I'm
right.
like, nah, it's just my life experience.
I think you also remind listeners, like, we're not fucking professionals.
We're not.
So stop listening if you're trying to get professional advice. Like, get professional advice. You know, why be so mad about it? Like, take it with
Yeah, and I
grain
think
of salt.
it's weird because it's all personal experience, and you could just take it or leave it.
I ain't gonna go over this shit. This is my life. Yeah.
So
there's no way that could have happened in your life.
That's why we call it genius suggestions. It's not really advice. It's just more like you
Then
give.
why is it called genius?
Because I'm smart, bitch.
You don't suggest shit.
Yeah, I've gone to learn too that not everybody's made for the whole, you know, internet. Because I think even for like Mariel the other day, she was posting some stuff, and she has her Instagram now that's just for fun, and I created that for her to kind of just, you know, create. And then she got a decent following. Obviously, you know, she's connected to me, but you know, people like her for her own stuff. And then the other day when she was about to post something on Instagram, she goes, I don't know if I should have posted that. I was like, what do you mean you don't know if you should have posted that?
Right.
She goes, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it was a little too much of myself or this. I was like, don't go into that space. Just enjoy this and just fucking post it.
Yeah, for your own self.
When you post it, just move on from it.
Because that shit's going to spin into something else. If, you know, but I think for the most part, I think most of her followers are just, they know what they're following. Yeah.
It's not like she's out there putting titties and ass. Like you're just,
because that would cause a ruckus.
Yeah.
Like, what is she doing? I'm like, why is she showing her ass?
Yeah, she's like super into fitness and she's just being herself. But I think sometimes like I know. I saw a screen cap of somebody put up on their Instagram and their Instagram didn't have any likes on it. I don't know what area that is because I know they said that in Instagram they were going to get rid of seeing anybody's likes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So you weren't allowed to see that, but it hasn't happened in the United States. So
shit, I didn't know.
That'd be fucking crazy though.
That would be dope because that would definitely change the psychology of how it wouldn't like Mario, like, you know, just should I post this? Is this gonna the likes? What's the response? Just post it up. Just post it up.
I think I can kind of relate to that because when I first started to, though I didn't really do stuff to. I wouldn't say I didn't do stuff not to make it go viral, but I had to like the idea first and foremost and then put it out.
Right.
But I do know, like, I think in like I think it took me a couple of years to be like, fuck this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I already have my name out there. I've proven that I could do this space. So now I'm just going to continue to do what I want. But prior to that first 2 years, it was like I will never miss a video on Sunday at 12 p.m. ever unless I'm fucking sick or dying. And I did that shit consistently for almost 2-3 years. And back then, like one video a week was a lot. Like one video a week was a lot. And then, you know, people started bumping it up to 2 videos a week. And then now it's at an average of 5 to 6. Right. It's like, who the fuck is making 5 to fucking 6 videos a fucking week, man?
Right. Yeah, I don't know the algorithm because I was trying to explain to a friend like when like the OG YouTubers and like the new school and like how the algorithm fucked over the OGs and now it kind of like I don't know how that works. Like the PewDiePie or like how if you were to get 1 million views on one video and like the new school got 1 million views because it runs on the same ads, right? Or like so would PewDiePie would PewDiePie like make more? Is that
I think there's people who are so what happens for my channel too, and I've mentioned this before where there's like CPMs, right? So how much whatever ads you get per view and shit. So for mine, I average about $2, which is the lowest anybody will ever get. On average, it's supposed to be 5, on the higher end 7 to 8. Some people get like 10 to 12, depending on if they do streaming or whatever. Right. Mine is at $2 fucking dollars. It's because I curse a lot. I have controversial like topics and whatever. A lot of this is done by their bots, and then there's manual review where you get to request a review to see if it could still make ads. So if I can make ads, it's only $2 per each thing. So I'm making less than half of what a regular content creator makes. So for example, there's this one little weird Asian kid that's a boxer on YouTube. This kid has like I'm not sure if it's like because he has brain damage or he just has a thick Asian accent, but that's one of the biggest reasons why I started following him. But he's like a dope little boxer. Like he's dope. Like he's not the best, but he'll fuck me up. He's only like 5'3" or 5'4", but he'll fuck my ass up. But I like watching him, right? And he puts it's like kind of like in a hood area and he boxes just about anybody. Right. But he showed his CPMs, right? So he makes way less views than me, of course, right? Even if I don't post much stuff, and even if it's just the podcast stuff, I still make on average like 1 million more views a month than he does. He makes 3 times the amount of CPMs than I do. So he showed how much he makes, and he showed the screen cap, and I was damn, his retention rate and his views are less than mine, but he makes 3 times the amount of money. Wow, that's how low my CPMs are. So, because he makes about 5 to 6. Right. So my channel on average right now, I don't give a fuck. It's like $1,900 a month, right? Which is nothing. That's why I'm telling people I don't make much money off this channel. So people think I'm fucking bullshitting. I don't. I do it through everything else now. Damn. So it makes $1,900 a month. And then from $1,900 a month, that kid was making about $6,000. And he makes less views, less everything than me. Wow. Isn't that fucking wild? Yeah. It's because his ads are worth more. Damn, man, we gotta take care of our vets, man. We gotta take care of our vets. Like it was like, and then what I found out from that too is just it's about the content, and if your channel's fucked, your channel's fucked. There's no coming back from it. They say that we'll do manual review or whatever, and then we'll see if your channel's in good standing. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm in the system as a channel that you cannot make ads on. So at this point, it's just it doesn't really fucking matter. Yeah. Damn. Didn't know that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. When I was doing about 2 videos a week, so I used to do a travel vlog and I used to do a regular, talking shit current event video thing. My channel was making average from $10,000 to $12,000 a month. That's what it went from 10 to 12,000 to about 1,900 a month. Isn't that fucking crazy? That's nuts. Yeah. People are like, oh, you should do sketches. It's like sketches cost money. Right. By the time I shoot the sketch, that's the whole month check. Yeah, you below. Exactly. Yeah. So I usually shoot an average of about a sketch a month, and that sketch would cost about $1,000. It's like, so I'm not gonna. But don't you love it for the art? I was like, yeah, but aren't you doing it for us? I gotta keep my lights on, bro. Yeah. It's like a shit. So we have a couple of so recently I've been on this Netflix binge on documentaries. And this fool got me to watch this documentary called The Case of Gabriel Fernandez.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have watched that fucking documentary, but that fucking doc is crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's really, really, really disturbing and disheartening, and it makes me mad.
When I was watching it, the first thing I did, it was right after I was training kickboxing. I came home. First thing I do when I kickbox, if I'm not going out to eat, I make something to eat. So I grabbed a bunch of food, super excited to eat. I sat down, and there's this interview of this nurse, and she was describing how his skull felt. And she goes, it felt like Rice Krispies. And I dropped my food. I was like, nope, I'm good. I don't lose my appetite over anything, but like a kid's skull being fractured so hard that when you pressed into it, it felt like crunching Rice Krispies.
Yeah.
Almost made me throw up.
Yeah, man. Just the way that they opened up that documentary was just, wow. You just couldn't believe it because it was a fucking train wreck. You just couldn't believe that an innocent child could but be tortured in such a way, and like in all ways, like beyond imagination. Like some person out there was really testing the limits of cruelty, and
it was weird. There was one part of the documentary that made me laugh so fucking hard, and this is why I don't watch serious shit with people, because people will judge me because I have to explain my train of thought. But there's this one part. So when they're going through the trial, right, they have all the jurors. They're trying to get this guy to be convicted for the death sentence, right, or the mom or the dad. It was the dad.
It was the dad, yeah,
or the boyfriend. Anyways,
the boyfriend,
trying to get him convicted on a death sentence, right. To see that if it was first or second degree murder or whatever, if there was an intent to kill,
right, premeditated and stuff.
And the one guy that wouldn't do it was an Asian engineer, and I cracked the fuck up, dude, because they're talking. Essentially, what's happening to this documentary? Every juror is pissed at him. Yeah, they're like, "What do you mean? Like he intended to kill the child?" But the guy's like, I'm a civil engineer. he had to say that shit. Basically, what he's saying is, I'm fucking smart, motherfucker. Right. I know what the fuck this is.
Right. Yeah. He don't have that. He don't want to have the death to murder someone on his hands, on his judgment, which is a huge responsibility.
Yeah. And I thought he was actually, though emotionally I sided with the other jurors, I did understand what he was saying. Right. He goes, I have to know that this man had an intent to purposely kill this child in order for him to have this conviction. He goes, I know he's a piece of shit. He should be punished for it. He's a fucking monster.
He did say that. He acknowledges that.
He acknowledges all that shit. He goes, but this is what the law is. Yeah. The law says that he needed to have a premeditated plan to kill this child. And he goes, I don't believe that's what it is. I think there was a guy that's a fucking dumbass and he's a monster. And he didn't realize what the damage that he could do to kill a child, even though he was trying to hurt him severely on purpose. Yeah. But the kill part is different because now I'm going to be a murderer for convicting somebody of something that I don't believe that they had the intent to do. Right. Right. Which made sense.
It did, which is scary to acknowledge.
Have you ever been on a juror? No. I haven't done that shit either. Yeah. Not yet.
Have you ever? Yeah, never mind.
Well, I got called for, but I couldn't because I just opened up. We just opened up Go for Broke at the time, and that was we were running that thing. I was like, "There's no way. There's only 2 people running this. I'm half the company."
So you told them that, I just started a new business. I can't.
Yeah, and I showed them the whatever, everything, the EIN, whatever. I was like, I just started this business. Like, I can't leave for 2 weeks to like we just started this yesterday. Yeah, and so I didn't go.
I've been curious. I'm pretty sure. I feel like maybe this is a memory I created, but I feel like I did get something mailed to me, and didn't respond to it. And
I heard that they can't do shit to you.
Yeah, but they do try 3 times. But from my recollection, I've only been,
because if they send the mail to an address that you don't live at, right, and then you don't get it, they only do it through mail. So it's like, how the fuck were we supposed to see this?
Were you the one that? No, that was from my improv class, where like if you get a running red light ticket at an intersection, that you don't have to pay it. Oh, because really? There's so many variables, and like they can literally have the picture of you on this ticket, but then you can say that's not me, that was someone else driving.
Damn, I paid that shit.
Yeah, I think that's like a loophole. Yeah.
I hope so, man. Yeah. Yo, I swear to God, if I get a fucking parking ticket during this quarantine, I'm gonna kill somebody, dude. Pasadena parking people are fucking assholes, dude. Yeah, they are the worst human beings I've ever met in my life.
I definitely, because when I got my ticket, I like finally bought a permit, but on my permit, I wrote in big markers, it's like, Officer Reyes, look at this, fuck you. see you in 3 months. I put it right next to my VIN number. So like, you know, when they look at like,
Yeah.
know what your number is? Yeah.
Like, you bitch ass motherfucker.
Yeah, and they look so rinky dinky. They have the little tiny cars that you when you see it, you immediately just want to run over there and kick it down.
They were giving out the office that I have right now, it's in Old Town Pasadena. It's a secured building, and outside of it, fucking during the quarantine, there's no fucking cars there, right? Mm-hmm. But there's still the fucking parking people giving people tickets.
Right.
I was like, there's like 6 cars out here.
Well, I guess there's the jurisdictions, because I did read an article about how it's to give space to the businesses that are still open for like takeout orders and like all that stuff.
There was 6 cars out there. If you fucking give somebody a ticket, you have to die.
You're a monster.
I'm going to cough in their fucking mouth.
Yeah, you are guilty.
I fucking hate those people. But watching, so I guess like if you guys haven't watched it, we're just going to go through it. I mean, spoiler alert, but this kid was literally, I think the way the doc was setting it up, from what I remember, was number one, she didn't even want him in the first place because she gave him up to her gay brother,
right?
Which is just already a weird thing, because the reason why they said that they were beating him was because they assumed that he was gay, but they gave him up to their gay brother. And I guess having the child raised by a homosexual couple is way worse. So they just brought him back, initiated him.
It's crazy that she requested to have him, because Gabriel spent 8 years with that.
A long time.
And you see the photos. He's sweet, kind, lovely, beautiful, smiling. And then the mother tries to get that welfare check and requests him, but she never had possession of her child. It's just crazy. That's kind of a red flag. Like, you don't do a background check on this mother, because she had a history of like mental illness.
Yeah.
And it felt like the family was split, especially when they were doing like the when they were on trial.
Yeah.
And talking to like the father, and like the father was the one who's like, I don't believe in Gabriel being with a gay couple. I'm supporting my daughter to take him back. Mm-hmm. But then also knowing that Pearl was a possessive woman,
just beating the shit out of all of her boyfriends,
and all her boyfriends, making them do who knows what, and then also assaulting her other kids.
Yeah, and this documentary basically kind of shows, and what it's exposing is how broken like our government system is, especially when it comes to childcare.
Right.
But on the other side, which I do understand, because I have friends who are social workers, they are packed with so much shit. Right. So I mean, this is a very weird case, because on one hand, you have these social workers, and there are people who testify that say like, look, they go through a lot. They have to deal with so many fucking cases. You have no idea. Right. So what they're doing, so it's either this, number one, that they're so sick of their fucking job. They've had it for so long that it's secure. They could do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
And they don't actually care about these children anymore. It doesn't happen that way. Or number two, it's just that they have such a huge workload that they can't really go into the nitty gritty and the details of these cases. But in this case specifically, it's kind of hard. It's like, what's it called? What's it called? The background check on both of them, right? On her anyway, specifically, she was fucking crazy. How many times that they were called to go to that house?
Right. It's like, I think it was like 64 visits and like 8 open investigations or something like that.
It's ridiculous. That's kind of much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter what. And the crazy thing about in this doc is that they were actually trying to prosecute the social workers, right? Which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you saying that, like, I think it was like 40 cases to a caseworker, whatever. And like, but in this case, it's almost like, it felt like that was her excuse. Like, there's no way, especially the boss of the caseworkers, there's no way I could keep up with my employees who have all these cases. Like, I have my own shit to do. But in the case of Gabriel, it's just, they visited him. They never did a visual body inspection. They never took him to the side being like, hey, what's going on? They always sided with Pearl. The one time that they did talk to the child was when the cops came over and put him in the back seat to be like, hey, your mother says like, you've been lying about your bruises. And if you keep lying, then we're going to come back and arrest you.
It's just fucking crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like if I was a cop and I walked to the door and I looked at Pearl Hernandez's face, I was like, you definitely beat him.
Yeah, totally.
Her fucking face was crazy.
Yeah.
Like if a white man who hated Mexican people drew a Mexican woman,
that's exactly.
That's what she looked like. She looked like a racist drawing of a Mexican woman, dude. I was like, yo, bro, what the fuck? She looked fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And then what was it like in the documentary? They were showing all these pictures of her past. She has like the typical like chola fucking eyeline eyebrows and everything.
Eyeshadow.
Even her parents were talking about how psychotic she was. That was the weird thing. Like there's so many like testimonials of how unstable she is as a human being. And if you guys see this documentary, you'll see the type of damage that was done to him. He had cigarette burns on him. He had like lashings. He had chain burns.
They shot him in the groin area with a BB gun in the face.
So when they did an autopsy on him, they actually found kitty litter in his stomach because
feces and kitty litter.
Yeah, so they made him eat cat shit and also cat litter as punishment, and they threw him in a closet to sleep at night.
Yeah, and also what I remember feeling very strongly about, on top of all this fucked up shit, is that doctor who talked about his stress atrophy, talking about his like a thymus gland. And how like normally it's like 3 to 4 or like 5 to 8 grams or something like that. And then when he did the autopsy, it was like non-existent. So he was under immense stress. Like it was just
fucking
shriveled.
Crazy, dude. Yeah. And I felt really sad when there was the elementary school teacher. Like she had to look at him every day, and she would see him change into this like very angry, very just this kid who's known just to be like the class clown, goofball
bubbly.
Kid, very bubbly.
Yeah, according to his best friend, that little black girl.
I know, dog. That part too. I was like watching these kids. I was like, damn, they talking like adults and shit. She goes, man, he shouldn't have gone through that, man.
Yeah, I was like, damn, they should not be talking about this. Yeah, like adults. Like you said,
that was my friend, and I was like, damn, I don't know if I would have been able to comprehend what was happening at the age of 12 like that.
Right. Yeah, and just hearing the testimonies of Gabriel's sister and brother, like when they did tell the cops, like, yeah, Gabriel had to eat feces.
That's fucking crazy.
He's like, really? It's like, yeah, he had to do it.
That's fucking crazy. They when the teacher was talking about, I think like the saddest part for me was when it was I think the day before he died. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the day before he was killed. It was actually Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And then he was making the Mother's Day card, and no matter what he was going through, how much they beat that kid, he still wrote a loving Mother's Day card to his mom because he just wanted her to love her.
Yeah, that shit makes me cry, dude.
That shit hurt me, Dad. And I was like, oh man, that teacher was just mortified. And I think she called CPS as well.
Yeah, she called
CPS.
Yeah.
The dude, one of the workers he wasn't even dealing with the case, but he heard of it. I forgot what his connection was to, but he was pissed because one of the other social workers, he goes like, hey, like you need to call this in. She goes, I'm off the clock.
Oh yeah. It was the security guard.
Oh, security guard. Yeah.
Your favorite person.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, I'm a human, dude. And that kid needed help, man.
Yeah.
And like, he was like, it was wrong.
Yeah.
He took it upon himself to go.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm off the clock. I don't want to get in trouble because if I clock in more hours.
And that was interesting because that company was owned by like a private, like Maximus or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like publicly traded, and like it would have cost them more money to like investigate, which is what they're hired to do, than to.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was a very selfish. And
people are just very emotionally checked out is what I felt from that thing. And they just didn't care. And a kid fucking died. And it was like, when we talk about died, he died in the worst fucking way possible. Like I couldn't even imagine doing that to somebody, let alone a kid, no matter how fucking annoying kids are.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to slap him across the face. I couldn't imagine doing what they did to that child.
Yeah, because he, going back to that security guard, he like went back. He was like, he saw the kid, and the kid was looking at him and like kind of like touched the desk. And he's like, when I saw that kid, I could see his body was like screaming. It was screaming to me. And so I had to go back and be like, yo, did you see that kid that came through here? He's like, yeah. It's like, did you not see his body? He's like, yeah. It's like, he's being abused. It's like, well, we're closed. Like, it's like, what
fucking insane, dude.
Wow.
We're closed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder what, like, why do people get these jobs? Like your job, like it's not like their job is easy. It's not like the pay is amazing.
Right.
There has to be a reason why you decide to be in a position where you have to deal with these types of cases. Because if I knew that I was going to go into a career that had to deal with this and the pay wasn't really that great, I better give a fuck about my job. Right. Just because if you could look at that, he's a very extreme case. And if that case slipped by, then what does that say about the other cases?
Totally.
That's the thing that worries me. It's like this case was such a huge red flag, and they just went whatever.
It would have been better had we not known about Gabriel Fernandez. Like had he just not existed. I mean, I know how that sounds weird, but like because it was 40 cases per caseworker, but they went out and acknowledged it, and everyone knew. There were so many alarms. There was the teacher, the security guard. What else do you need? You know, the cops. Like. I don't know, man.
I mean, even all the people who were on the case of social workers, they were really fucking old too. They were like 60 something years old. They looked like shit. And I was like,
and they falsified like a lot of
like they're jaded from their job.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that job too, there should be like, I know this sounds weird, but because of how serious their job is, there has to either be check-ins on it or maybe in a thing, like, I don't know if this is even possible, but like, it's like you can work this job for 15 years because of the emotional damage that you'll get from this.
Right.
And then you have to switch into another department or something because you have workers like that have just checked out. They can't even see shit. They just don't see it. Right. Maybe they could switch off to another department and then mentor people below them and then kind of get them going. Because when you emotionally check out on severe cases like that, like people die. And that's what happened to Gabriel Fernandez.
Yeah.
That's so fucking sad, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just because it trickles down from like the LA County, and they even call like the people on the boards like these shadow kings. Yeah. Which was super scary. Like they responsible for like billions of dollars, and you don't exactly know what the fuck they do. But they have so much control and power, and they live in these gated communities away from, and that's why it's like them versus the news reporters of LA Times, and like them trying to expose the corruption that's going on in the city.
You know what was fucking crazy too? When I was looking at them in court, they had no emotion.
Who? The social workers?
No, not the social workers. The boyfriend and Pearl Fernandez.
Oh,
the mom and the boyfriend.
Isn't that enough? Like I know there's something like don't show emotion because it might like a poker face or something like that, but like it was interesting watching both of them, like how they came into court. Like whatever his name is, the boyfriend came in with like their prayer beads, and like when that priest came over and they did that Telemundo report, he was like, they're trying to make me confess this murder. I did not do it. And yeah, he's like praying. Is like there's such a disconnect between him and what's going on. And then there's Pearl, who comes in with somehow makes like the prison makeup.
Yep.
And she's like,
I've been here before. I can find my way.
And it almost feels like she's going in there and trying to like manipulate her boyfriend still in the court. Like she's that strong. Yeah, that's strong.
Dude, the craziest part of this documentary was when they had the audio recording of her trying to talk to her boyfriend in the prison cell, and she's recollecting about what they did to Gabriel, and then she's getting fucking horny off that shit.
Yeah.
That part was ridiculous. She goes like, babe, you better not fucking say anything, all right? Because we didn't do anything, right? What did you tell them? Like, what did you tell them and shit?
Right.
Hey, remember when we cracked him in the head? Yeah, baby, and then you fucked me on the counter after that? I'm like, what?
Yo, did they do that? She's like trying to make him corroborate, like just trying to like fuck with his mind. Yeah. Because
like, I'm getting fucking wet right now.
Right.
And I'm like, if I was a prison guard, I'm just drinking my coffee, I'd spit that shit out. Can we call this in? There's something really weird happening.
Warden, we have a weird case going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that and just like, and it was also interesting, just like learning about the boyfriend through his previous employer.
Oh yeah,
that was crazy because she was like,
he's the sweetest guy.
He's the sweetest guy. He would want to take the scenic route and show like the people in the nursing home like a beautiful view.
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy?
Who?
I think he was. I think that's really what the Asian engineer was talking about. I think he truly felt that he was manipulated by this girl, and you could kind of see in that moment where she's literally trying to talk to him and bully him through that prison, through their holding cell.
Yeah.
Like I see it. Like now I understand what the Asian people know what's up.
Yeah. And then you got a death penalty.
Because I can't imagine this guy who beat the living shit out of this kid and he goes, hey, so like, can we like just take like the scenic route and maybe like show the kids like the beach or the older people at the beach? And then he was so sweet, waved hi to everybody else.
Right.
But Pearl's parents were saying too that she was very controlling of all of her boyfriends, and they felt that the boyfriend was, by his demeanor, it almost seemed like he couldn't believe that he got this hot girl, right?
Right.
And even through the what's it called, the text messages, right?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, he did what to you? Almost like he was trying to beat up this random dude at the street, on the street, that was hitting on his girl, and that's how he was beating up Gabriel.
Right. Totally. It's like, you can let him talk to me like that?
Yeah.
It's a fucking year old child. What do you expect them to do?
Yeah. Well, when I grew up too, you know, like especially in the store, like so like my parents' store is like in it's kind of like hood part of South Sacramento, and you know, growing up watching some of these kids, and mind you, I wasn't that great of a kid either, but this is like when I started becoming old, when I was older, around like 19 or 20, and I would watch some of these young kids that would come to the store that I remember what they were like when I met them when I was like 12, and they were like 4, right? And these kids were super bright-eyed, very just inquisitive, very sweet kids. And I can clearly fucking remember, even as a 12-year-old, how some of their parents would talk to them, right? And this is like this is like a handful of certain cases, right? Like it would be some shit like the kid was just walking around, they would grab something and they go, "Hey mom, what's this?" They snatch it out of their hand and slap the kid upside the head, like, "Don't fucking ask me."
Curiosity,
it's like, oh shit, like the kid can't ask you what this shit is. So how many fucking times did I tell you not to touch shit? And they would slap these kids upside the head, and every time they were there, they would just like whoop on them for just being inquisitive, for being a fucking kid. And then, you know, when I'm 19 or 20, I see these same kids and they're fucking assholes, right? I'm like, damn, dude. It's weird because, you know, children literally become a product of their fucking environment.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know what's going to happen to them as adults, like from all the trauma that they received. Because let's say even Gabriel survived this case, how would he have been as an adult? Eating fucking cat shit and cat litter, dude.
Right. And thinking that's normal and shit. You do meet somebody who like they learn something different. I was talking to like a friend told me, like, she was like, "Where do babies come from?" And then the mother told her like they come from a pill. It's like, oh. And so she went into the world telling people that's where babies come from, like until like late into like life, like or like when she was like a teenager, like she really believed
that's fucking funny,
right?
Dude.
And then so she was like, "Well, how do you get a boy or a girl?" It's like, "Oh, they have 2 different pills." It's like there's such a weird stigma taboo. Like it's just, why do you give misinformation? Like
that's some pretty bad misinformation.
That's some pretty, yeah. Because you go into the world and like you tell your friend like, "Oh yeah, I know babies come from the government pills." Like
it's like when those kids were told in elementary school. I remember in kindergarten, one of these kids believed that I feel like every parent told their kid this.
Some
like
crazy,
if you hold hands with somebody, you'll get the girl pregnant. Right?
Yeah.
Because Bart told me this story where he heard about that, and then he was trying to hold every girl's hand because he was trying to get them pregnant. This little fuck face, dude. He was just trying to fucking knock up all these bitches on the playground.
Right.
Yeah, but I remember, they would say if you hold hands, you would get pregnant or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And kids fucking believed that on the playground.
Yeah. Yeah.
The case is fucking crazy, man. If you guys haven't watched this documentary, like, first of all, be prepared to cry, be prepared to get angry, because it's literally one of the most worst cases I've ever heard about in my life, and it was going on, and I never heard of it until this doc.
Gut wrenching. And the fucked up thing about that, when the boyfriend got sent to the chair or whatever, and Pearl spent the rest of her life because she pleaded the case, whatever. She took the plea. 2 weeks after that, there was a kid, I think his name was like Noah Quattro. Yes. Same dynamic. The mother and the boyfriend abusing this child. And then I'm pretty sure the kid's name was Noah. He ended up ultimately passing away.
Yeah.
From the
it was abuse. Like the same situation.
In the same area.
Yeah. I was shocked when they said California. I don't know why. Like, I feel like I have like a bias towards our state. Yeah. But when I heard,
when we went to Lancaster,
Lancaster's definitely different. Also, this happened in Palmdale.
That's the same area.
Palmdale and Lancaster is basically the same shit.
Oh, man.
Lancaster is fucking wild. If somebody says like, "Yo, let's go to Lancaster, California," like, just prepare to just die.
Yeah. Hell no. No disrespect, but
mad disrespect. Lancaster. You guys know, people in Lancaster know nobody reps Lancaster.
No, they don't.
People go to Lancaster because it's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody fucking out there like Lancaster for life, homie.
Have you ever seen the documentary called The Mask You Live In? So it's about talking about just masculinity. Like they interview these children, these teenagers, and then they interview these inmates that are at San Quentin, like their like life, and just want to talk about like their upbringing and like just the topic of masculinity and like where did you learn masculinity? You.
Probably from my dad.
Yeah. They were saying like you are obviously the product of your environment, but also like they felt like school, because of the social constructs, it was like a training ground to test you of your masculinity. Like, so like boy and girl, you can't play with the girls, you have to be with the boys. You can't, and there's these terms like don't be a pussy, don't be a bitch. So they're pruning any kind of sign of femininity
out of these kids
and making you hyper masculine. And then I remember like being pissed off, and they were like the news and like psychologists saying like we should remove, Grand Theft Auto and all these violent games because it's doing something subconsciously to these kids to prove that they're boys. Like they have to show and prove to their homies that they're not a pussy ass nigga and a pussy ass bitch and that's and that. And even in sports, like you try to take the most, what are like the things of a man, like sexual conquest, that turns into something like football players, or just money, economic wealth, and like Ferrari and getting these chicks, buff, athletic. Those are associated. If you're anything less than that, then you're weak, and you want to appear weak, and you don't want to fall back and not be included in your peer group. So that's what that document was talking about. It was just like, it's interesting when you become an adult and you make those observations in hindsight, and you would wish like our parents, but obviously they can't. It's a generational thing. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good documentary. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty dope.
I feel like masculinity too. It's definitely a societal thing, and like that system is there, but that certain level of masculinity is heightened depending on the money bracket that you're into. Because when you're like when you're in these like rich areas, that concept of masculinity doesn't fucking matter, because these kids don't have that stress of somebody trying to fucking jack your shit. Like when you come off, and this is, once again, we kind of grew up in this area, so I'm just talking about my personal experience when I was younger. It's not like how I think now, but when I was a kid and when I was younger, I mentioned how many times I got fucking bullied. I had to like break shit, punch walls, cause a fucking scene and just man the fuck up when somebody would try to jack me, just so I don't get punked on. And
even you saying like I had to man the fuck up, like that was something I'm assuming your dad told you to do.
Maybe not even my dad, probably just from the neighborhood. Yeah. That's a neighborhood thing for sure, right? Or don't be a pussy, don't be a little bitch. And I still use those terms till this day. Right. I don't know if it's like really toxic or anything. I don't know if it had, but I would use those same terms, I guess, for anything. Like it wouldn't be just because I think I've kind of evolved from that.
Exactly. As long as you can evolve for that. I think you have the duality. I think you're living in two worlds. I think our generation was caught in between two, where like masculinity and embracing, your vulnerability was in our generation. And we're stuck in between that. Because now it's like the new generation, Gen Z, whatever. It's all about like being PC and making sure you're aware of the words that you're using, because it does have power and it does dictate how. Because
it kind of goes to show, just when you say man up, you mean strength, and when you say don't be a little bitch or a little girl, means you're being weak. Right. And that's where there's that delineage of like,
but then you associate bitch with females and you automatically have that power shift.
That's why I made a conscious choice to call everybody a bitch equally. You're a little fucking bitch. Like, because I'm a woman? No, just because you're a bitch. That's what it is. You fucking bitch. Deal with that shit. Like I do agree. There's that whole masculinity thing is weird, because like, I don't know. I feel like I was just a weird kid too, though. Like I kind of just I do still lean towards more of that old side of just like, don't be a pussy, don't be a bitch, man the fuck up. That's how I grew up. It's going to be a part of me till the day I fucking die.
And even in sports too.
It's in
like
sports.
You get injured, don't be a bitch. Like you'll be all right.
Even like the girls that I know that kickbox, they use those terms, right? So I don't know how that works in that context, but I feel like, because a bit other part of me too, like I kind of feel like our generation is kind of getting too much in their feelings sometimes. Where it's starting
to just swayed.
We
were in a good spot and then it just got super vulnerable.
So now it's from here all the way to here. There's no good medium now. Now it's like, if you feel a harsh way about something, if you have a very specific stance on a topic, either people hate you or either they hate you or they love you. That's it. There's no like, oh, you can have that thought. I'm cool with it. Whatever. Move on. Fuck it. And even sometimes too, like disagreements are not allowed. It's like, if you disagree with me, you're a fucking asshole.
Right.
I hate that shit. Like, you're supposed to disagree with people and you should be okay with disagreeing with them. It's like, it's whatever, unless they went about it like in an asshole way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, there is that discussion of just acknowledging that. And then how do we, take care of our boys so that they don't assault themselves and assault women and just the world? Because I think even in this documentary called The Mask of Men, they're talking about like mass shootings. Like they're all boys. I've never heard of a female mass shooter.
Because the guns are too heavy for the girls.
Maybe.
No,
there it is.
I'm kidding.
Damn. Yeah. So it was just talking about that. Like, just
but if the guns were pink, it'd be different. They'd be spraying
pink
up
camo.
everybody.
Yeah, pink camo. Like fucking that dude from Tiger King.
Yeah. Shout outs to that guy. We're gonna talk about that in a bit too.
Yeah. Just having a conversation with boys, because even the documentary talks about like this guy who comes from our school of thought, but like really checking in. Because I don't remember my dad ever checking in like, hey, are you okay? I remember my dad being like,
oh yeah,
no one. I don't remember like how was school or how was checking in. That was just a cultural thing, or like they just didn't have the ability to communicate.
Does your dad do that now though? Now that he's older.
Yeah, he does. But I could tell it's very difficult for him.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I could see that, because I know he's putting in effort. And so hopefully after time where he can like really get past the bullshit of headlines of like Trump and like the city and this and that, like he could really talk about who he is. That's what I'm most interested about as my father, instead of like hearing it from the other lady or from a different relative. Like I want to really get deep down with my dad.
It's weird because I know your dad had that stroke, right?
Stroke and a heart attack, and that was big. Yeah.
Oh shit, he had both.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
I mean, usually when somebody feels their mortality, I think that's when it starts to change their perspective a lot, right? It's like, oh shit, like I almost died. Maybe I have to change a few things about myself, and maybe that's why he's probably trying to open up a little more.
Yeah, I just want to know how he views the world now. After my his mother passed away, like he doesn't have that crux anymore.
Yeah.
And so who does he talk to? Like he doesn't talk to the other lady. He doesn't really talk to his friends. He's kind of a loner. He's kind of, my family always referred to him as a street rat. He was just like out on his own. And I kind of have that same quality. I have like, I could go out and be okay by myself.
Yeah.
And just want to do my own thing. But like just talking to him and like he's always talking shit about like his sister. I'm like, do you think it was her fault the way she turned out because of what I know, how you all were raised? He's like, oh, I never thought, I don't know. Maybe.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, we're getting somewhere. So every time we FaceTime, now that we're talking more because of the quarantine through FaceTime, like he's been opening up more, which is interesting, which is a very long roundabout to get back to what is the big elephant in the room with my family. So
that's such a weird thing because my dad too, I have a weird experience now where my dad, he asks a lot about if I'm okay, but he'll do it through my mom.
Yeah, because your mom knows that you guys have a strong relationship with your mom.
She knows how to talk to me, right? But even then, like
you guys are the same person.
Yeah, we're exactly the same fucking person. Yeah. That's the weird thing. I didn't realize how similar I am to my mom until I started getting older. I was like, damn, she says some crazy shit. And I'm like, oh shit, that's exactly where I get it from. It's the same reason she used to get in fights with my dad, the same reason I get in fights with Mariel. So the funny thing is that my dad, because of our relationship when we were younger, he would only ask certain things about me because he was going to whoop my ass. Right. So if he was asking like, what are you doing? It's more like, I know what you're about to do and I'm going to fuck you up because of it. And so because of that previous relationship when I was younger, when he asked me how I'm doing, immediately, even if it's fucking small, I'm already pissed. even if he's just asking though.
Yeah.
I'm already traumatized from that younger shit. So now it's like, oh, why are you asking what I'm doing? Like, do you not think that I'm doing it right? Are you going to fucking yell? What are you going to do? And that's the back part of what my mind is
deep
thinking.
Down in there. Yeah.
So I'm like, why am I getting mad when he just asked me how I'm doing today?
Right.
And I had to really think about that shit. I was like, oh, I was wrong. Cause like it was like a few years back that I realized this, but he just called and he was like, oh, is everything okay? Is everything fine? And I'm like, why? That's the first thing I said was why.
Yeah, why do you
right?
Yeah.
He was like, what do you mean why? I'm just asking. I was like, yeah, but you're not just asking why. What's up?
Yeah.
Right. And then, it led to an argument. We were fighting. And then after I got off the phone, I was like,
oh shit.
My mom called me up. She goes, why are you so fucking mean to your dad? I was like, well, he's calling because I know he wants to say something else. Like he's just, I don't like the way he's talking to me. He goes, he wasn't talking to you in any type of way. I was right next to him. He just asked you, how are you doing?
Yeah. I'm seeing like the wheels turn, like he's been operating like this and you've been traumatized and now it's switching back.
Yeah. Now he's being like a normal human being.
Yeah. You have to give me time, Dad, because you fucked me up when I was growing up. Yeah.
Exactly. And so as I'm talking to my mom's mad at me. She's upset. She goes like, your dad's feelings fucking hurt. You can just hear him screaming at the top of his lungs in the back. Like, why is he such a fucking asshole? And I'm like, you're the fucking asshole.
Right.
And I sit there and think about it. And I was like, oh shit. Like I was actually wrong in this situation, but not to make an excuse. It's like, every time prior to that, it was because you were trying to yell at me. You were trying to do something to me.
Right.
So now when I see that, when you ask me something,
you see the setup.
I see the setup
Yeah.
and I don't want to fall for that trap.
Right.
So I had to learn how to turn that shit off a few years ago. It might be 3-4, it might even be longer, but I learned how to turn that shit off and just kind of accept it that he's just older and he's not in that state of, wanting to beat my ass.
Right.
Now when he asks how I'm doing, he's just asking how I'm doing. And so that was the biggest switch that I had to learn how to turn off. And I'm not going to lie, it's still there. Like when he asks, I still feel just, even if it's like a speck of it, it's still there. Yeah. Where I feel like, man, this motherfucker trying to fuck me up.
Yeah. You got that extinguisher, like,
yeah, I'm just ready. But most of the time now, it's just him asking because he's like concerned about how I'm doing. He's softened up a lot in the last few years.
That's dope.
I don't know what the fuck happened, but everything that I learned from my dad is from my mom, though. I haven't learned shit from him from his own mouth. The only time I learned something from him was the last big fight we had, which was like 7 years ago or something like that. I can't remember how long it was. I'm fucking up the number, but it was a moment where he and I had this part where it was that whole thing where he was talking about like it's the way that he talks to me and I don't like it. And he was actually being kind of an asshole. And it got to that point where I just he kind of said along the lines of, my success is because of what he's done for me. And I didn't like that because everybody has a part in my success. Anybody who has supported me since day one, but he didn't. So it was like when he said that, it just bing, boom, right? And ignited. I was like, and I looked at him. I go, what? He goes, yeah. Like I supported your dreams to be a comedian. He goes, remember when you left? I got you this. I got you that camera. And I was like, that's cool. I was like, you didn't support me at all. I was like, I'm not sure if you remember this. I was like, do you not remember that time that when I left when I was going to go to college, I told you that I wanted to go to a community college first for a couple of years and then transfer over to the university that I wanted, which was UC Davis. And you said to me verbatim, our brother was there. You said to me, if you go to a community college, don't ever think about calling me your father ever again. That's
Dude, my dad, I told my dad I was going to go to Santa Monica College. He said, you're not going to that college. I was like, what the fuck?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like he was like, you're going to denounce me as your son because I'm deciding to go to a community college. And so, that's what it was. So what he said was the success to the comedy thing. What came after the first thing he said, he goes, why don't you just go to a community college like I told you?
Oh my God.
That was the initial one. I just remember that was the initial spark.
Did they help you pay for college?
No.
You did it through the warehouse?
Through the FAFSA and stuff like that. Shit. So I just kind of like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then I was like, and I was telling him, he was like, I don't remember that shit. I was like, you don't remember? I was like, dude, you beat me up all the time. What the fuck are you talking about? And, it just got into this huge yelling match. And then he brought up this point where I mentioned this on the podcast before. He was like, you don't remember that time I told you that if you want to be a comedian, I'll send you to comedy college? I was like, Dad, what the fuck is comedy college? There's no such thing as comedy college, right? And his fucking dumbass too, by the way, he starts looking this shit up. and on the computer, right? You know what he pops up? He pops up
clowning school.
No, he pops up the theater program at like fucking Columbia or some shit. I was like, I have to still fucking get into Columbia. It wasn't Columbia. It was some other Ivy League college. Yale. Yeah, I was like, I still have to get into the fucking Ivy League college. You don't just, it's a theater class. What the fuck are you talking about? And so, even then, like, he was so petty, he didn't want to admit that he was wrong. It was like, you were fucking wrong. And what I told him in that conversation was like, could you imagine how much further I could have been now if I didn't have to fight for your approval and fight for this and this? I was like, the only reason why you approve this is because I started making money. If I didn't make money, every time I came back home to Sacramento, you would talk about how disappointed you are in me. I was like, those are just facts. But I understand now that it's just because he doesn't want me to struggle. Like, we grew up really poor, so he just sees me going down this route of being poor. It's personal to him. It's like, I failed as a parent because my kid's poor. So I understand that. And then what happened? We had a breakthrough moment, which is the first thing he ever told me about his own life that he, in 30 years, I've never heard. He goes, well, I was 20 something at the time, but he was like, what I told him, I was like, you want a relationship with me and your older son, right? I was like, we'll never have that. I was like, you know why? Because you don't know how to talk to me like a human being.
There's no respect.
Yeah, there's no respect. Like, you still talk to me like you give me, I was like, you don't talk to me, you give me commands. Do this, do that. Did you do that? But you never really ask how I'm doing. You never just call me to have a conversation. And with the first honest moment he has ever had with me, he goes, I can't do that because I've never done that in my whole life with my own parents. He goes, when I was younger, I had to take care of your parents because your grandpa fucked up, right? So when we were younger, we had a lot of stuff. Your grandpa just fucking threw away all his money. I had to be an adult real quick. Your older sisters moved to America. One other person denounced me. I don't have relationships because I can't talk to people because I've never done it. You're expecting me to do something I've never done my whole life. So now as an adult, I was like, if you don't understand that, I'm 60 something fucking years old. He goes, you have to learn how to bend your will and accommodate me because I can't change. He goes, I've never, ever, ever in my life had a conversation with your parents who passed away, my parents who passed away. We never had a conversation like, how are you doing? I can't do it.
Did he ever?
I was like, damn. That's the first moment I was like, oh shit. Like he's like this because of what his parents did to him. You know?
Do you say like, do you love me enough to try?
What I told him, I was like, I just said, when he said like he couldn't do it, I was like, all right.
Touche.
Yeah, because it was just facts.
Yeah,
At least he was honest about it. He goes, I can't do it. He goes, I can't do it. And I'm like, oh shit.
It's crazy that he could, like, to have that conversation, have to know about it and like suppress it enough and like really lean in on top of his relationship with his parents. Like, he's just taking that as fact and like knowing that he is not in control of his life to break that, that relationship he had and not apply it to you. Yeah. Like, it's
weird because I do feel, my mom told me too one day, she goes, you should feel really bad for your dad because he's somebody who desperately wants to have this tight-knit family, but he doesn't have the tools to do it. Yeah. He doesn't have the social tools. Like, you have to feel bad for him because everything that he's doing right now to try to keep the family together is the same thing that he's doing to push you guys away. Right. And so he doesn't know what to do. So that's why he talks to me, so I could talk to you, because that's the closest that he can get to having a conversation with you. But now it's getting a lot better now. Like I've been talking to him. He's been able to joke about shit as we talk on the phone. And the funny thing is, the connecting factor that allowed me to talk to my dad is when I talk shit about Mariel. This was like, he goes, oh, that's a problem. He goes, your mom is Mariel times 10. Right. And then I'm like telling my mom about some of the stuff that, she and I are arguing about, and my dad's cracking up. He goes, that shit's nothing, dude. He was like, you saw your mom, dude. Your mom fucking hid in a dumpster once to get away because she was upset at me. She goes, oh, Mariel like closed the door. She goes, you remember that time your mom went into the squash patch in our backyard and laid in there for all night? And when she woke up, she had 70 mosquito bites on her face. I was like, dog. I was like, oh, your lady's crazy. So we're bonding over how much we fucking hate the people that we're in love with. Right. And so that's like our bonding factor right now. And that's, we found the little segue into us being able to connect on something, because we can't really connect on a lot of things, but what we can do is connect on how much our significant others piss us off.
Oh, good. Yeah. At least you have some angle in.
What about you and your dad? What's the besides
All right,
basketball?
I think shit is we're still working on it. We're still working on it. I just try to like, because I know what he's going to talk about, but it's so superficial that I try to give him more facts. So like, he's like, I can't believe, Trump has 60% approval rating. Like, how is that possible? Like, you're saying like 60% of Americans really want Trump. And I don't like talking about politics on, social media and all that shit. But I was like, Dad, you have to understand, like, what he said was, it's not our problem. And I even think, I don't know where I read this, like, it's not, Charlemagne the God said this. He said, it's not our problem. It came from China. China created the virus. Here, let me give you a bag with stimulus relief package and I'll make it all good. And this is how I'm showing you my leadership. On the surface, that looks like leadership. Mm-hmm. That's what you need. And then every single day we've been seeing Trump. We haven't seen anything from like Biden or Sanders or any other political figure. I mean, we do know that they are having these virtual town meetings and talking about Corona and this and that, but it's not enough to overcome the amount of times we see Trump saying some crazy ass shit. So it doesn't surprise me that people do think that Trump is doing a good job, even though, it's like he's talking so much crazy shit. Yeah. Like, how do you not, like, I'm sure you've seen all those little fucking videos of like Trump saying this is a hoax. This is not a hoax. I knew this was a pandemic. You should have listened to me in the beginning. But the beginning you said this was a hoax and we got this under control. It's down to 0%. There's no cases of it. And now it's like 100,000. And now Dr. Fauci or whatever. Is that my phone?
That's my phone.
Oh shit.
It's always my phone. Just to let you know, it's always my phone.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci, whatever, that doctor was saying like, yeah, we're having 200 cases of the corona in the coming week. So like my dad just takes the tidbits and he can't expound on that at all. So I'm like, I have to like fill him in and be like, oh,
he's okay. Like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah. And I sent him that article from, was it the Athletic Tribune? Mm-hmm. Is that someone knocking the door?
Is that Mariel? You come in. All right, just continue.
Oh, okay. Talking about Ben Gordon. I sent you that article, didn't I?
Yeah.
About his mental health and like he was like suicidal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I sent that to him. He's like, I really like this article. Thanks for sending it to me. And then we'll talk about mental health. I'm like, did you feel that? Did you have the pressures of that when you were playing basketball at Redlands and when you tried out, for the Knicks and all that stuff? And we got down into that. So I have to find these articles are similar to the topics that we talk about and be like, Dad, read this article, read it so we can talk about it. So that's kind of our into it. So you can understand how I discern things and how he can learn from me so I can learn from him. So very brief, concise shit.
Oh, that's how he thinks, or that's how he does things. That's hard, man.
Yeah.
Because you really want to know about his personal shit.
Right.
But then it's like, you can only get like a small little glimpse just by how he reads and interprets things. It's like, that'd be so funny too. Like you just send him this film. It's like, hey Dad, watch this film about this man who played basketball and has a Vietnamese and black son. Yeah. And it's like, hey, kind of reminds me of you, boy.
Yeah.
Anyways, like,
damn it. Yeah, it's like I know that I have to like really, fan it out for him. But like, no, this is. If that were the case, like I was showing him vinegar, it's like this is our life.
Yeah,
like let's talk about it.
He probably wouldn't.
He wouldn't.
Maybe he just does that because he doesn't want to feel all the shit that happened. He just kind of like pushes it all the way fucking down.
That's of a generation, man. Men of a certain age, yeah.
And all that shit seeps out eventually. Like even my dad's stuff, it all came out in that one huge moment where I literally told him like, you fucked me up, And then he was like, well, at the end of that conversation, I think the part that kind of really softened me up, he was like actually that's the first time I ever saw him cry in front of me. He's never cried. Like I'm talking about, I've seen shit where he's bawled because my brother hurt his feelings.
Really?
And I've done some shit. My dad's just like, But the first time I ever hurt his feelings was that conversation. And then he just said like, I'm a good father. Like I did the best that I could. And he started tearing up. And I was like, fuck, I hurt this guy's feelings, man.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
So complex and so obtuse and just weird men, man.
Yeah. It's just, it's kind of rough, man. I mean, hopefully I won't be like that when I'm older. Shit. I'm trying not to be.
Yeah. I think that's like the base level. Like, I hope I don't turn out crazy like my father. And then I could imagine my dad being like, because there were times where my dad would wait for his father, like, hey, I'm going to pick you up from the house to go fishing. You know, dad's like, you know, canceling plans with his friends, and he's just sitting on this bench in front of his house out in the middle of Victorville. He could watch the sun just go across the horizon, and his dad never shows up. And his mom comes out. It's like, come on, boy, your dad's ain't gonna come. Let me cook you some dinner,
sad, dude.
You know, like he's like, I'm not gonna be my dad. I'm never gonna do what he did to me. But
It's like, that son came around for me too.
yeah,
like, God damn it. That's funny that you mentioned that, because my cousin, I mean, just to wrap this up on this note, my cousin, he mentioned this story where we have an older cousin where I just remember this fool just disappeared out of nowhere. And I was like, did he die? Like, where'd he fucking go? So my cousins, their age gap is like 11 years. Yeah. So instead of having an older brother, what you have is a father figure, right? And I think when you're super young and you have this guy who's a cool older brother, he has the Mustang, he's all this other stuff, and I'm really close to him. You kind of idolize him, right? It's like having a dad, but a really cool dad. He's young, he's hip, he's in the football team, you know, he's dating these cute girls or whatever. He's a really great artist. Everything that I remember from him, I just remember him being the really, really cool cousin, right? So I remember out of nowhere, he comes back. I hadn't heard this guy in 10 years or something like that. God. And he goes, hey, I'm getting married. I want you to be one of my groomsmen. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? Right. You know, I'm like, the fuck? Like, right. where did you come from?
Right.
Like, I was 18 at this point. So he disappeared around when I was like 9 or 8 or something like that. And he just went about his ways or some shit. And I was like, the fuck where is this guy? Right. And he came back with this, you know, beautiful white woman that he was going to marry. And I was like, you want me to be a groomsman? That's what I thought at the time. And then I remember he was just, his rhetoric at the time when he was talking to me, my brother and Mike was like, hey man, we should really, you know, concentrate on family. It's all about family. But when you say that to somebody who's your younger brother, that you disappeared for damn near 10 years, that's going to piss him off.
Right.
And it pissed him off. And I remember like how pissed my cousin was. He was like, who the fuck does he go off like talking about family? You fucking bounced on me. And it wasn't even so much like my older brother bounced. My dad bounced on me is what it felt like. This guy who I idolized, who I looked up to. Like, I had nobody in my corner. So essentially he almost grew up like an only child. So he was just like, yo, and he had this huge fight with him one time because he brought up the concept of family. And I think they had an argument where basically the guy who left, the older cousin, his older brother, was saying that he was selfish, you know, and that was the trigger point. Yeah. And I remember he mentioned that, just to bring it back to your story. He goes, I remember when I was a kid, how you would say you would come back on the weekends and I would sit there with my toys and I would wait for you to come. And you would never be there. And I didn't know my cousin felt that way, but he would wait with like his toys as a kid and saying, my older brother's coming. We're going to hang out at school. Didn't call, didn't nothing. Yeah. And then did that every time over the weekends for like 10 years until he grew up. He didn't have any toys anymore. He was just becoming himself and he just didn't expect him to be around.
Just a little, just a moment like that can freeze you.
Yeah.
Because he clearly remembers it and holds it against him. That's when we were all like, those years.
Yeah, that's when he was like 20. He's like 30 something now. So I remember what he told me about the fight that they had. He was like, he was telling me, and I could like feel his pain when he was talking about it. He's like, yeah, I told him, like, I remember when I was a kid, I had these fucking toys and I would wait around for him to come by and I would just play with them like, oh, he's going to come. He's going to come. This is the day. And nobody would show up. Yeah. And I would just be stuck there with my stupid fucking toys and he would toss them off. And then next weekend or a month later, he says he's going to come by. Wouldn't come by. Right. And then he would just wait and wait and wait. And that kind of like fucked up a little bit of their relationship. Yeah. And I think even to this day, like they still love each other and stuff. And, you know, it's about family, but there's friction. And unless they sit down and they kind of heal from that and it's just not going to happen. It's just always going to be that weirdness. I arguably feel I'm more closer to his brother than he is to him.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to be, if you're willing to be vulnerable and like express that, you know, hurt people, you know, that's the key to it. That's the key to being like unlocked from this, you know, drama, whatever.
If you guys don't even know like sometimes how funny his dad is, like the reason why I crack up is because like there's this moment where Khalif sent me this text where it was like, he was showing like what his dad, old people don't believe in virus shit. Like they're just like, yeah, fuck this shit. We've seen through worse.
Yeah.
And his dad was cool as a fucking cucumber, right? He's like, don't believe the hype. Is basically what he was saying, right? Fast forward like a week later, he's like, listen, I gotta get out of this job. This virus is about to fucking kill me. And I just pictured that the same thing with like, I'm never gonna be like my father. I had to wait at the porch waiting for my dad to come. And I just pictured you like, what the fuck is this guy?
So true, bro.
It's fucking funny.
It's
well,
so
guys,
true.
that wraps up this podcast. You guys can catch the Genius Brain podcast on all platforms. I've said this in every single fucking episode. Spotify, iTunes, give us that 5-star. We're just here to keep you guys company on your commute. Funny stories, talking about bullshit. And we'll see you guys next time. You can follow Khalif at...
Yeah, you can find me on the Instagram, Khalif Boyd, KHALIF BOYD.
And I'm going to put this out into the fucking ether. We're going to work on this film. It's going to be this year we're going to actually fucking write this shit. It's going to be the dopest film ever. I haven't done a film since Gook, and this is the story that I really want to work on. So it's going to be fucking fire.
It's going to be fire.
Shit. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.